Welcome back to Cooking with Jan. This is episode 30 and the last one we're doing in this kitchen that you see here, which has served us faithfully for so many years, 17 years. But next month we're getting a brand new beautiful kitchen, so stay tuned. It's going to be very exciting. Today I wanted to talk about this mortar and pestle that I recently acquired, and I'm only beginning to discover the many uses of this old school tool. It's great. And to do that today, or to show you how great this thing is, we're going to do Mexican guacamole and spiced chai tea. I got the idea for the mortar from a friend named Johanna Brücke. So before we begin with the guacamole, I just want to give her a quick shout out. Liebe Johanna, du hast mich auf die Idee gebracht, dieses Werkzeug zu kaufen, nachdem ich gesehen hatte, wie du dann deine Pfefferkörner zerdrückst für Cacio e Pepe. Und auch deswegen war das Pastagericht wirklich sehr, sehr lecker. Insofern vielen Dank. For Mexican guacamole, let's just do mise en place. You need 2 ripe avocados. These are not there yet. They would probably need another day, but we can't wait any longer, so we're going to use them. A half of a lime. We have a small red onion. I would recommend a small red onion. You can use more onion if you want to. We have 1 pepperoni. I don't think I'm going to use the whole one, and I'm probably going to take out the seeds to not make it too dominant. Then I have about 4 cherry tomatoes. I have a bunch of cilantro or flat parsley. I think we're going to use about half of this bunch for our dish. Then I have salt, and this is the trick. I'm going to take my peppercorns and crush them in my mortar. And then finally I have some cayenne pepper. Okay, let's crush our peppercorns. And of course you do need some strength with this, and make sure they're well crushed. As such, all of them. The guacamole itself, this would be the first step. You take your avocado, and this is a trick I have learned from watching other YouTube cooking videos. All around to open it up. Oh, I even have already my pit, so that can go there. And then there are many ways you can do this. You can take a spoon and scoop out take that out here. You don't want that. Scoop out the meat or the inside, or you can just use a small knife and peel the outside. Actually, it comes off like that. Number 2, again, make sure you don't cut yourself, but make sure you move your knife along the avocado to open it up. That's good. See, if it's not so ripe, it doesn't come off so easy. Now, you have your pit in there, which didn't come out, but if you take your knife and you put it forcefully on the pit, and then you twist the pit, it comes out. Mash the guacamole, make sure you take out all of the brown parts, right? Because they're not good. You don't want them. The Mexicans say, no bueno. Now, you can mash it, and I've never been able to keep the consistency. I mean, it's always been kind of squishy. But you mash them, and that's all you have to do. On the tomatoes, you have to estimate. I'm taking 4 cherry tomatoes for 2 avocado. Very important though is, this is recommended by a Mexican chef, is to remove the seeds because they hold too much water. And you don't want to make your guacamole so have too much liquid in it. So you remove them as so. Don't remove everything, but just, a little bit. Just get those seeds out is really the idea. Again, this is estimating. Of course, you can use more tomato if you want to, but I would go with about 4 cherry tomatoes in that size for 2 avocados. The result you have, you can use your fingers, just any way you can get out these seeds and the pulp, as you can see. To dry them out, use a small knife. You'll see what I mean when you do it. And just don't worry if you don't get everything out. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? And then this, you can just eat. You put some salt on there. I like some. Put some of my freshly crushed pepper with my mortar on there. Not too much, because now you have fire in your pepper. It's really released. Next step is we're going to cut our onion, and then we're going to cut our half about the cilantro. So with the onion, no big deal. We're going to use that part too. I tend to be conservative on onions because I don't want them to overpower things, but you can use more onion if you want to, or a larger red onion. But I do recommend, you can use any onion as well, but I recommend the red onion for that sweet flavor that it has. Pepperoni, I'm only going to use half because I don't want to have too much fire in there. Of course, you would use the entire pepperoni if you had 4 avocados. I'm also going to take out the seeds because I don't, you have to be very careful with hot stuff, also with salt. So I'm going to take out the seeds to make it less fiery, as it were. Maybe right too. This one doesn't have too many seeds, it seems. Take them out. Then I'm going to dice them. Watch my fingers, of course. Okay, the next step is we have separated the stems from the cilantro, and we're just going to cut up the cilantro also rather fine. So we'll do that next. And, chopping up my cilantro very good. I go very fine on it because it just gives it really a lot of a very strong note, and I just like it that way. So here's the mortar, and according to the Mexican chef, this is how he does it. He separates the avocados and the tomatoes, which by the way we have to dice too, which we'll do, from the other ingredients. So he puts in the cilantro. So he puts those in. So a lot of cilantro. I know we did about we did about 60% of the bunch. Actually, maybe I should just hold back a bit. Maybe I've been too much. Here's my pepperoni. Also too with that, I'm going to go a little bit more conservative and see how I go. So I'm going to hold some back on that, as you can see. And then he puts his onions in. Oh, I see that's not quite there. Oh, there it is. There it is. You don't have to be that specific because you're going to crush everything again anyway. The onion goes in there. I too am going to hold back just a bit because I'm always a little conservative. You can always go with more once you do the final taste. Put that in there. Then also take your half of a lime. You can either just squeeze it in like this, but if you have a lime squeezer like I do, or a lemon squeezer, just do that like this. Make sure you get all the juice out. And it also goes in there, like so. And then he puts in his salt. In this case, I'm using sea salt. He puts in his salt here. About that much. We're going to probably do more salt in later. This is just, and then I already have my crushed peppercorns, so I'm going to put in that. He puts it in there too, like this. I saw this recipe on Epicurious, and I will link to that recipe in the comments. And then we can put a little bit of cayenne pepper in as well. But I'm going to adjust when I add all the ingredients together. You take your pestle and you squish. We've diced the tomatoes since. And as you see, I have a little bit of rest of onion, chili pepper, or pepperoni, and some cilantro yet. But just let's try this out first. Put them in there. Then we'll take our... now we need a spoon. Take our mixture here and add it in there. And I'm going to use a fork to do the initial mixing. Look at that beautiful color. Let's just try a little bit and see where we are in terms of seasoning. However, it needs salt. So here we go. So you take your salt, take your pepper, again, not overdoing it, and mix it in. Plenty of fire in here, so this is very spicy. We decided to put in another cherry tomato, so I put in another cherry tomato. And I don't know if I'm so convinced with this no pulp method because a little bit of juice is missing. Pulp from that we took out back in, because we found that the avocado just was not juicy enough. So just to get a little bit more juice in there, we put it back in. So let's do a test here, and then I have to see whether I want to finish it off with my final sweet touch. Last step is very optional. You don't have to do this. So just gonna take just a little bit, just a pinch or two of brown sugar. I like that. I don't always do this. You don't have to do this. The Mexicans would never do this. But you have to make each recipe your own. You take your tortilla chips, just salted. That's all you need. You dip them in your guacamole. That hit the spot. Let's do another one. You'll be a star at parties whenever you make this. It's a little bit intensive. There's a lot of slicing and dicing and adjustment to do. Oh, wow, this really has fire in it, doesn't it? This is the spiced chai tea. How do we do this? With the mortar. First we take in about a handful of peppercorns, like this. And as you saw in the first chapter, we really crush them. Then we take a handful of cardamom. Yeah, I don't know how many of those are. And about 6 cloves. Put them in there. Grind them up. Make sure you get the cardamom and make sure you release them. Then you add, and this will, again, really add to the fire, your ginger. I've got about 3 pieces here, which I've just cut like this. 4. Put them in there. This is for 2 people, by the way. And then all you do here is just release the oils by tapping them a bit. Boil your water first before you add your spicy ingredients. We're going to put this on high. This is 3 cups for those of you using the imperial system in the United States, for example, and 750 milliliters. Put that in here, and we're going to bring that water to a boil first. This is for 2 large mugs of chai tea. To boil, I just want to say that to our mixture of cardamom, cloves, peppercorns, ginger, we also are going to add a little bit of cinnamon. Sprinkle on a little bit of cinnamon there. You can also use a cinnamon stick. Now that our water is boiling, we're just going to add that in there. And then we're going to set our timer for 5 minutes. Oh, I have 1/4 of a liter of milk here, whole milk. A little bit more than 1/4 of a pint. Put that in here. We're going to warm this milk up. Frothy is up to you. Some use a machine. I've never been able to use this feature on my coffee machine, so we have to do it manually. The milk is warm, and we use this contraption here. Works very well. And just froth the milk. To kind of solidify, what I do is I've seen this in Italy actually. This was the trick on the bar. They take a towel, or they have a surface where it doesn't spill over. And of course you don't use so much milk in your pitcher, so they will spill over. And then you do this, and just tap it down. Okay, 5 minutes. We've had our mixture boiling here. Then goes in your tea bags, 2 tea bags, or if you want to use cut tea, however you want. We just use, this is Earl Grey. Black tea you should use at any rate. Put in 2 tea bags and 2 teaspoons of brown sugar. Okay, let's pour it into our mugs. Use a strainer, as I have here, so that you don't get any ingredients in. Be careful. This takes dexterity and a bit of practice. Fill her up. Take in our frothy milk. Pour in your milk first. And then add your froth. You can do a bit more. And then the other side. I mean, I'm not the best frother in the world, but it'll do fine. Okay, and then the final step is take some cinnamon powder, your cinnamon powder that you have, and sprinkle it on top. So let's try some. Very good, very good. And not too hot. Thank you for tuning in to Cooking with Jan. I hope that I was able to show you how wonderful the mortar is and how it's used in cooking. It's with those peppercorns. Again, I got the inspiration from a friend. And if you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe to Cooking with Jan. And as Jacques Pepin says, happy cooking. Das Geheimnis meines Erfolgs, Kaffee. Okay, that'll simmer for about, I'm already feeling the pepper. Put it in there. Hey Siri, Timer für 2 Minuten. Endlich.